The reason that CNN and NBC call me a settler and say that I live in the West Bank is because it's much easier to say, get the settlers out of the West Bank than get the Jews out of Judea. But what is the word in Hebrew for a settler? It's a mitnachel, and the word mitnachel comes from the Hebrew word of nachala, which means a heritage. Now, how is a heritage different than an inheritance? An inheritance is something you could give away. You inherit money, you could give it away if you want. A heritage is part of who you are. God did not give the land of Israel to the Jewish people. It doesn't belong to us. It belongs to God, and He entrusts it to the nation of Israel. And by you standing with Israel to keep Judea and Samaria and Jerusalem as Israel, you are not only supporting Israel, but you're supporting God. So I urge you to please consider, keep God's land. On October 7th, the world was exposed to the most demonic, sick, twisted evil, front and center, GoPro cameras. They experienced and they saw this evil. And you would think, you project your own values and you think, well, the whole world's going to turn against those people. But no, within the coming months, marches through London, through Paris, through Australia, in the streets, free Palestine, siding with Hamas and siding with that evil. What do I think is going to happen? How is this all going to play out? I think that right now Israel is fighting with Gaza. Soon something is going to happen in the north to inflame the northern border in Hezbollah. Already China and Russia and Syria, Iran, the head of the whole snake, they're all saying that they're going to attack Israel. And the period between now and then, because when that happens, Israel is going to stand alone. The world is going to turn against Israel. America will have warships off the coast of Lebanon. And ultimately, I believe they're not going to get involved and they're going to stand down. And Israel is going to be all alone. And we will see that according to the laws of nature and the laws of man, we have no chance to survive. And we're going to have to turn our hearts to Hashem, to the creator of heaven and earth who has been with us since the very beginning. And we're going to say, Hashem, please, we have no one else but you. Please help us, help us. And He will, in the most miraculous, magnificent way the human mind can even imagine. So the times between October 7th and that great day that's coming, these are times of refinement. These are times where the nations of the world and every individual in the world has the opportunity to say, where do I stand? Who am I with? Am I with Hamas and the 23 Arab states and the 55 Muslim states and the people with the ferocity and the weapons and the anger and the hate? Because they seem pretty powerful, and it seems safer to side with the powerful, enraged, insane, pathological terrorists than with this small Jewish state of Israel. But if you want to side with God and with truth and with goodness and with light in the world, you side with Israel. So these are days of refinement. And my urge to the world, my blessing to the nations of the world and to the people of the world, is that you stand with Israel, not for our sake, because God is with us and He will be with us no matter what, for your own sake. For your own sake, you should stand with Israel, because these times of refinement are what the gold is refined from the dross, and you get to decide who you stand with. Do you stand with the God of Israel, or do you stand against the God of Israel? And it's really that simple. So I bless you with only goodness and happiness and health, and to stand with Israel and the Jewish people.
What's happening in Israel and what's happening to the people of Israel inside this land is this war, this encounter with evil, has forced us to ask the ultimate questions about life. And so often people are distracted, they're entertained, they're watching the ball game, and the ultimate questions forget to be asked, and we don't teach our children to ask these ultimate questions. And then religion seems almost irrelevant. Okay, they have their rituals and we have our menorah that we light these candles, and what is that all really all about? But this war is forcing us to ask, what are we really living for? What are we ready to die for? What is evil and what is good? And how do I align myself in this world? And so now a line is being drawn in the sand. We saw evil manifest in the world in a way that we haven't seen, at least in my lifetime. And so now every person has an opportunity to side with child kidnappers, rapists, murderers, or to side with the Jewish people in the land of Israel that are seeking to settle God's land that He promised to them. And so there are forces in the world that are stopping that process from happening, the Jewish people inheriting the promise that God gave us to inherit this land. And so standing with Israel is to stand with that promise. It's to stand with the good. And the difference between good and God, it's so close. And so without encountering that evil, we forget about the good. And so this is an awakening that's happening now around the world, forcing us to really ask the ultimate questions that the Bible is here to answer. And so I think that what's happening now is a spark that is to light up a lot of people's lives with a real encounter with the truth. If you look at the Bible, or you look at all of history, when evil arises in the world, it immediately attacks the Jewish people. In the 1940s, the Nazis began gaining power. Then they began systematically annihilating the Jewish people. It eventually reached Pearl Harbor. It's just a matter of time. When evil rises, it wants to dominate. So too right now, this radical Islam that has come out against the Jews, it's attacking us in Israel first, but it's just a matter of time until it reaches London and Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. And so the Jewish people are called to be a light unto the nations. And what does that mean? Either we will bring the light of the Torah to the world, or our sheer existence will expose the darkness. And that darkness is attracted to us to wake up the rest of the world, to let them know that if your eyes are not on Jerusalem, you're missing the move of God. The redemption, God's plan, is to unfold in this land. And so keeping your eyes on Israel is the wake-up call.